Hello my dear students, welcome to BYJU'S exam prep. On 18th of June, 5 persons were so thrilled because they went into Ocean Gate's Titan submersible for deep sea ocean exploration. But that exploration went or converted into a catastrophic disaster. So what went wrong? What was the reason behind the Titan's failure? Still a very big question. But still, being an engineer, we should be able to know what was the process or what was the technical aspect due to which the Titan, which was supposed to be an adventurous we can say explorer, the dream come true for many travelers, explorers, has converted into a catastrophic disaster. So in this video we'll be talking about one very important aspect of Titan disaster, that is implosion. So what is implosion and what is the fundamental of implosion? We'll be seeing an experiment also what is actually an implosion, and by having that experiment we'll be able to have more clarity. So let us continue our video in the next part. So now let's continue our discussion on this Sunday Ka Funda video. Now we know that on 18th of June, this Ocean Gate's Titan submersible went into a catastrophic disaster, right? And it was crushed down to few debris, and it is being the live images. If I say the recent images of this debris, you can see on the screen. This image is being released by Ocean Gates, and it is on all social medias, the pic of this debris. So now let us try to understand what went wrong and what was the reason behind this conversion of a explorer, okay, a deep sea ocean explorer, Ocean Gate's Titan submersible into debris. Now for understanding this, let us try to understand the concept of implosion, because that was a prime reason for this catastrophic to happen. Now if you see clearly, there is a big vessel, a metallic vessel, which is basically being crushed down to a small segment. The reason being, inside this we are having a low pressure. Whenever we are having a low pressure inside this vessel and outside we are having a high pressure, due to that huge pressure difference, there's a huge amount of pressure force being acting on the surface of or the circumference of this particular steel vessel, right? And that will result in the we can say compression. It will compress the body into a very small segment, right? So for understanding more about this implosion, let us try to understand what is the difference between an explosion and an implosion. Now explosion, we all know that whenever there's an exothermic reaction, the energy is being released from the system. Okay, so whenever there's a huge amount of energy being released, there is always expansion in the volume. Okay, volume is being expanded. But on the other hand, let us understand a situation which is the opposite of explosion. There is a vessel inside which there is a very low pressure being created, such that the atmospheric pressure will be creating a huge impact, and due to that they will be having a deformation happening in that particular body, and that is basically the implosion. That means I can say implosion is a process in which objects are destroyed by collapsing. That means the opposite of explosion. And in which there will be a contraction, the volume will be decreased. In explosion, the volume is expanding, okay, and due to this implosion, the reduction in the volume occupied, it concentrates matter and energy. So whatever present inside this will be crushed down to a small pieces, right? And that was the reason for the Ocean Gate's Titan submersible to convert it into a catastrophic event. Okay, so what happens? Inside pressure is very low, external pressure is very high. Due to this pressure difference, the huge amount of force will be exerted on the surface, resulting in the collapse or the decrement in the volume with a significant amount. The deformation will be huge, right? So let us try to conduct one experiment. What I'll be doing is I'll be taking a bowl in which we'll be having ice cubes or cold water. This is your cold water. Okay, and what I'll be doing is I'll be having a hot can. I'll be placing a hot can which is half filled, and I have just boiled this. Okay, I've just boiled this particular can which is filled with water, and as soon as I'm pouring this boiled water can inside this, there is a sudden contraction, okay, sudden deformation of the body happening. What is the reason behind this? The simple reason behind this is the steam that has been created when it comes in contact with the cold surface, right? So the steam converts, it condenses back to the water. So the steam which was present, when it condenses back to water, there is no molecules left out, there is no air molecule, there is no water or steam being left out, because that is being condensed into water. Okay, so due to a vacuum creation and the atmospheric pressure is applying a force from outside, it crushed down this can to a very small deformed body, and that is basically the concept of implosion, and that was the reason for the Titan to crush down into small debris, right? So it's quite easy. What happens is, if I say there's a boiling water, this is the water, and we are having steam over here, okay, because the water will be poured. So this is boiling water and this is steam. So when it is come contact with this cold water, the steam condenses back to water. So due to this condensation, there is no air molecules left out. Due to this, what happens? There's a vacuum being created, and whenever there's a vacuum being created, the atmospheric pressure will be, the difference of this pressure will be too high, and that will crush the body into a small volume, and that is your reason for this catastrophe to happen, right? And it has been believed that this Titan submersible went down approximately 3,500 into the deep sea level, below the sea level, where the your connection was lost, and at that moment, this vessel, this submersible was actually, we can say, an equivalent amount of the weight of the Eiffel Tower. That amount of water was actually above the Titan vessel. Okay, the vessel was so deep that the amount of water on it would be equivalent to the weight of the Eiffel Tower, which is basically tens of thousands. And if the rupture is happening, if there is some small rupture happening, due to that, there will be a huge contraction in the volume, and that is the prime reason for Titan to be into debris. And it is being believed that very few milliseconds, we can say 1 to 15 milliseconds was taken to do for having this collapse. Normally a brain responds in 25 milliseconds, and from sensing to the action, normally it takes 150 milliseconds. So can you visualize what happened? In 1,000th of a second or 15th of 1,000th of the second, the entire collapse happened. The person, the 5 crew members, the 5 members who boarded that submersible, they were not able to understand what went wrong, and within a fraction of millisecond, the human bodies was converted or turned into ashes and dust instantly, right? So this was your all about the basic fundamental of implosion. Let us try to visualize one more animation to understand what is the scenario inside a body when implosion is happening. Let us suppose we are trying to create a vacuum, and due to this, definitely it will be crushed down to a very small volume. So due to this pressure difference, the pressure difference will be so huge, it will be crushed. Now let us see the same video in a different angle. There's a camera being placed inside this vessel, and let's see what is actually happening. So when there's a pressure difference happening, it is crushed to a very small value, and it is like coming to a very small segment. Volume will be too small. If you see from the other aspect, it is crushed down, and you can clearly see the front side is being crushed to a small volume. Okay, so this is the concept of implosion that is explaining why this Titan converted into debris in around 25 or 30 milliseconds, not more than that, right? The different researchers are having their different fundamental, but ultimately one thing is quite sure, that this debris was converted. This complete Ocean Gate submersible, Titan submersible, was converted into debris in a fraction of milliseconds, right? So these were the 5 passengers who boarded Titan submersible: Shahzada Dawood, Suleiman Dawood, his son Hamish Harding, Stockton Rush, and Paul Henry. These were the 5 passengers which boarded the train, and they died on 18th of June. So I hope you understood the concept behind what happened for the failure of Titan submersible. So I hope you understood the thermodynamic phenomena, which was the prime reason for this catastrophic to happen. So I hope you all understood the aspect, the concept of this particular segment. This is it from my side. This is Suraj Gopi signing off. I hope you all like and would rather say try to share this video to all of your friends so that every single student, engineering student, should know what was the prime reason for this Titan submersible catastrophic failure. Thank you guys. Do take care of yourself. This is Suraj Gopi from BYJU'S Exam Prep. Thank you.